Conference will now be recorded.
And I wanted to let you know that we're going to record it so we can, listen to your questions and comments again, but also to make this available to other people who are thinking of responding to this opportunity in the future. Um, Also, I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes to share with you what I think are the most important aspects of our process. And then we will definitely open this meeting to hear of your questions and hopefully provide an answer. If we cannot get to answer all of the questions over the next hour, we'll definitely take notes of all of these, copy all of the comments, and reach out to you afterwards. So just bear with us. I'm also joined by Marcus Ogle, who is the GCOOS Associate Director. He is going to help me manage the questions at the end of my presentation. So let me share with you um, about GCOOS and what we're going to talk today. A little bit about IOOS, a little bit more about GCOOS Regional Association. Definitely dive into the request for letters of intent for the 2026 award. Then we'll discuss your next steps and the questions that you may have. So GCOOS is part of the IOOS network. IOOS is the Integrated Ocean Observing System at the National Ocean Service at NOAA. GCOOS is the only regional association that has been certified by NOAA to manage data for the modeling purposes and other data archiving purposes throughout all 5 states in the Northern Gulf. GCOOS, it's turning 20 years this year, so it's been around for quite a bit of time, supporting a number of new observations every time that we can. So you'll hear a little bit more about that. And our regional association federal funding, it's been managed out of Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas. But that said, there is GCOOS staff distributed throughout the Gulf region. Um, we are governed by our strategic plan that was developed back in 2020. Still very relevant for us. That strategic plan outlines the main important aspects of our purpose throughout the Gulf region. Those are the focus areas that they summarize in four of those being marine operations, coastal hazards, healthy ecosystems and living marine resources, and human health and safety. These priorities are made operational by the GCOOS team and our support teams throughout NOAA by coding teams such as outreach and education, data management or DMAC, communications, also numerical modeling and forecasting and monitoring of long-term environmental changes. So this strategic plan, as I said, it's essential to this process that we're going to be discussing today because proposals and project ideas should relate to how they support the GCOOS strategic plan and help us move forward the GCOOS mission. So in more recent times, back in 2022, we actually restated the importance of these priorities in what we call the addendum to the build-out plan of the regional association that, as I said before, basically outlines the relevance of the core observations that we work with. And I'm going to show you that in the next slide. So what we call at GCOOS and the regional associations, our core funding, it's exactly what this funding opportunity should be focuses on. Those observations that they are essential to our network, GCOOS and all the other regional associations, the things that we make possible throughout the region for the purposes of the federal government running models, making those models operational, but also serving the purposes of all the stakeholders that we are able to support throughout the region as well. So historically, and in our current award that it's ending at the end of this year, we're supporting networks of high frequency radars that generate mappings of surface currents, the underwater gliders that create vertical profiles of the water column deep to 1,000 meters, different types of moorings from big to large buoys to other coastal stations and platforms. And one of those platforms, specific mooring types, is what we call the NTL project, that it's Northeast Ulysses project that we work in support of BESI and the offshore energy industry in having the awareness that they need to map underwater currents for their operations and safety throughout the Gulf. Regional associations, including GCOOS, have been also very active, especially throughout the last decade, in bringing more biological and more biochemical work, I should say, in the forms of harmful algal blooms work. The GCAN network is the Gulf Acidification Network, and the MBOT network is the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network. There is an umbrella program that is called Marine Life that covers some of this and expands this work, as I'm going to show you in our next slide. But just think of these observations being really what has been most of the focus of the core work that the Regional Association does with the money that it's appropriated by the US Congress. So this is a snapshot, for example, of what is our year 5 of the current award that I wanted to share with you. So you get an idea more or less what is the level of funding that has the Regional Association been working with. So in year 5 that started July 1st, we should be working with a budget of 4.2 million in total. Out of that amount, the core funding is 2.5 million, and the remaining 1.7 millions are what we call the add-on projects. These are projects that we actually discuss with other federal partners, but also other type of partners throughout the Gulf region to make a pool of several additional projects on every year basis. The pie chart really is showing in blue and red the amount of the size of our work in high frequency radar network and underwater gliders, the moorings, and also the data portal itself that also brings data from third parties throughout the GCOOS data portal and network. In addition to this, the annual core funding in the main award of the regional associations, we work with NOAA and other partners throughout disaster supplement projects that they come to the Gulf region from time to time, I should say, not in every case that there is a storm, but we try to discuss the relevance of this with the federal government every time that we can. And throughout the past years, we've been able to also increase our portfolio of observations throughout the region with additional IRA, which is Inflation Reduction Act, and BIL or IIJA funding throughout the region as well of other programs. So what are those other programs that they made our work possible in the last couple of years since we start working with, as I said, more disaster supplements and also IRA funding and BIL funding? Well, those projects varies from nutrient coastal estuarine sensors to marine mammal works, littoral works, sargassum observations, understanding marine heat waves throughout the Gulf region, using AI to fill gaps and QC data collected by tide gauges of NOAA, as well of our newest projects. Really, this is what just came to us at the end of last year in form of IRA projects. We were able to include to the portfolio water level sensors, wave buoys, web cameras. Those web cameras, they feel the purpose of awareness, like a still camera of live or a live feed. But also there is people who develops algorithms to study things using these sensors. Coastal acidification observations, increasing our capacity in Galveston Bay, for example, recently acoustic telemetry network throughout the Gulf, and more recently passive acoustic data. All of this, it's new work for us over the past couple of years, expanding the scope of the regional association. So I'm sharing with you guys all of these topics so you get an idea of what has been the interest of the regional association, our board, because GCOOS is managed by a board that helped me steer the priorities throughout these observations. So let me dive now into what we call the NOFO, the new NOFO, which is the notice of funding, federal funding opportunities. This is the way in which NOAA should communicate to us soon the opportunity to get us funded for the next 5 years. And that's what we call our next main award that should begin in July 2026. The reason I'm using this very ugly yellow highlight in the slide is just to make really clear that NOAA and IOOS program office are doing everything that they can to get this funding released to us in the form of a request for applications to the regional associations, including GCOOS, where all the priorities and the funding target will be spelled out to communicate and share with you. But that has not happened because hopefully many of you know of the many challenges that NOAA is facing throughout the federal government. And we're working with really basic guidance provided by IOOS of what they are able to share with us in the sense of we should start putting together and getting prepared for to respond to that with the knowledge that we have and the experience that we have based on our past work. So what I'm sharing with you is basically what we know. We're trying to replicate the process and the scope basically of what we've been working on over the past 5 years. And if anything, any of that changes for the good, I'll definitely share that information as part of this process. But in general terms, the goal is for us to renew our ARCOS funding, which is the Regional Coastal Ocean System funding that is the one that is appropriated by US Congress on annual basis, part of the main award. And with your help, identify projects for the next 5 years that will be part of our next proposal. So we don't have a funding target. We don't know if it's going to be the same level of funding as we are working as of right now, or there is any chance that that will increase. All of those are good possibilities for all of them. What we're doing, as I said, we're trying to replicate what we know using the experience of the past award and working with that. And that's exactly what you saw in that request for letters of intent, for request for projects ideas, trying to make it very in line and coherent with the way that we've been working. So last week on Tuesday, September 9th, we launched the announcement that you saw, the solicitation, the web page hopefully has all the information needed in addition to what we will discuss today. If you have additional questions, there is a contact email that we set up for us to be able to continue answering questions in the future. So the timeline, as published also in the website, the next main aspect and deadline is October 17th, in a few weeks from now, for us to receive your letters of intent packages. And then there will be a review period of about a couple of weeks in which the GCOOS board and senior GCOOS leadership will be screening through proposals, ensuring that they comply with our requirements and communicating to you by November 1st. Of the acceptance of the proposal and the inclusion of such in the GCOOS main proposal to IOOS and NOAA. So that deadline will be November 30th, once we will need the full packet. And I'll share with you in a few minutes what is that full packet. The way we're trying to make it work is that what you see as requirements right now for the LOI in the web page, it's about 75% of what you will need to provide us with. The only two aspects will be a full official institutional budget for the 5 years of your proposal, in addition to letters of support. Basically, those are the two additions. So that's what I'm saying, that what you will be responding by October 17 will be around 75% of the total proposal packet. We anticipate that IOOS is going to have a deadline for us to submit the GCOOS proposal with your ideas by December 31st, and therefore a very tight timeline. And then the anticipated project start date is July 1st, which is basically the way we all work with IOOS on annual cycles starting July 1st, 2026. So let's see what that requirements are. So we're seeking letters of intent that work on observations, platform sensors that they are useful for modeling, but not only, and also projects that have strong components on education and outreach. Those projects must align with the GCOOS strategic plan and demonstrate at least one focus area that your project is going to focus on. In many cases, we have projects that they fulfill and support several focus areas of our strategic plan. They are regional in scope or contribute to a regional scale enterprise, which means that could be of the scale could be of different levels, but the idea is that the portfolio overall complements regional scale of the GCOOS proposal, and that our new partners are committed to implement the IOOS and NOAA data standards, including the Quartot manuals. If you're not familiar with Quartots, they are data QC processes that they've been developed by IOOS over the years. Very useful to keep the data standard as we should. Also, a requirement of the layers of intent and projects that we will to have a really clear stakeholder engagement strategy. We're looking for projects that they are solving issues from the bottom up, and they are able to sustain questions that a community or a stakeholder group has, and in that way help us show the value of the network maintained by IOOS and all over IOOS, all through GCOOS. And then we're also requesting a sustainability plan, which basically it's a mention. It doesn't have to be a lengthy plan. We'll see that in a second, but it is a mention basically of how the continuous, the proposed project will it plans to continue beyond the GCOOS funding period, which means that we're looking for ideas that they will continue to be good ideas, and there is a good reason for it, and there is potentially other uh, partners that can be joining the effort in sustaining those observations into the future, not only the regional association. So we're mentioned before, letters of intent be submitted via email by October 17. The requirements are, as usual, if you have worked with GCOOS before or seen any of our projects and proposals, title page that includes the basic information about the proponent, project, and group. The scope of work, we're making it not very lengthy, but with enough room of a maximum of four pages. So all of these pages max are just the maximum that we require. You can write a scope of work that is not even 4 pages, but you need to convey all the important information that what is the strategic focus area or areas that you are targeting with your project in addition to the usual goals, objectives, methodology, and what benefits you are providing to your community and what products and services will be delivered as part of the project. The budget estimate and sustainability plan, we're making it simple at this time, given the time that you will have to respond of 1 page, which means that the idea is that you spend more time thinking of a good idea and having an idea of the budget, and you use that table suggested template to inform of your budget, but you don't have to provide a final institutional complete budget until your project is selected and until we require it by the last step of putting together the package. But definitely the idea is that you think throughout how your project will be sustained over the 5 years within a pool of many other proposals within a budget of around $2.5 million that I mentioned to you. So we're not able to provide with funding targets at this point. They haven't been available to us, as I mentioned. I'm encouraging you to think of how GCOOS has been working. And if you have questions about it, I'm happy to answer those because we're not able to provide any additional information in terms of what it's a good project or what it's a good budget size. But basically, we're going to score projects by having relevant budgets that they are in line or they're coherent with the observation proposed and the effort that it's been proposed to make that part of the project. One other thing that we are doing as part of this funding opportunity, we require PIs to include in their budgets insurance for assets that they will be part of, equipment that will be part of the project budget of a large share of $150,000, with the idea that there is a possibility for you to recover in the case of a catastrophic event, whether it's a storm or a vandalization of equipment. Throughout the past 5 years, we work with some of those issues, and we're thinking that it's a good idea for the expensive equipment to have a way to be able to be sustained throughout the 5 years of the project. On the stakeholder engagement, we're making it a requirement of maximum 2 pages. Again, it doesn't have to be 2 pages, but the idea, most important aspect of the project is that describes the coordination and the communication between the proponent team and the stakeholder groups, the end user groups, and how well that engagement will continue throughout the 5 years. How that should be part of not just GCOOS making all efforts possible to share the work of the regional association, but to work as a network of sharing the benefits and having all of that information be accounted as part of our project. So there will be a requirement to have measurable metrics for that engagement. The data management plan, it's something that we've included in all of our, for the past 4 years in all of our proposals. And the main difference of this data management plan this time is that we're going to require the PI to QC its own data, if whether there is a quarter manual for that type of observation, or the PI will have the expertise to QC that data before it comes to us for publication. At GCOOS data management team, we do have a wealth of experience in many aspects of oceanographic and other scientific data from the Gulf, but not in all of that. And it doesn't become possible for us to be able to QC all possible data without the knowledge of that the PI will have to QC its own data using its own sensors. So those are main differences of a few of the differences that we're adding to this request for proposals. And also, as usual, we will require you to provide your resumes and any literature that you think is appropriate to be included in the review process. This is the weighted system that we're going to use for the 5 criteria that will be used to score the proposals. This is, by the way, very similar to what neighboring regional association process will be using. And so if there are PIs who will be submitting proposals to more than GCOOS, but we're trying to make this process practical for you in the sense that you will be scored in a very similar way, and those proposals will be looked into that way. So for scientific and technical merit, it's 30% of the weight. For innovation and efficiency, it's 15%. For stakeholder engagement, it's 30%. For budget feasibility, it's 15%. And for sustainability plan, it's 10%. So let me dive into some of these. Most important, beginning with the scientific and technical merit of 30%. So the idea is that really high-ranking proposals, they comply or account for all these 5 bullets, included into the solicitation, beginning with being projects beneficial to abroad, spatial coverage throughout the Gulf region. Also, project demonstrates credible scientific and technical approaches. We're open to new technologies and platforms. That's part of the IOOS network, but still would like to fund projects that they are feasible, because these are 5-year projects that they should deliver data that is essential for stakeholders. So also that there's a clear work plan and with a realistic timeline. So basically, we're also looking for partners that they are able to manage their projects efficiently, as you will see in the next slide as well. The project team and the membership has enough experience to complete the work described, and there is a role for everybody that it's included. And as I mentioned before, there is a clear data management strategy of the project. Thinking of as the regional association is growing, I mean, we want to work with partners that they are able to ensure the deliverable of those observations and products and services as well. On the innovation and efficiency side, 15% of the score. The most important aspect is that there is institutional expertise and capacity to deliver cost-effective projects in an efficient way. Basically, what I mentioned before of having partners that they are able to help us manage the observations in an efficient way throughout their projects. Throughout the stakeholder engagement weight of 30%, the idea is that those proposals include end users or stakeholders that they've been involved since the beginning and the discussions of the project and the development, and will be actively engaged throughout the project execution. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The idea is that the projects and the ideas, they come with an end user and a way for us to, develop success stories or a story that it's speaking for why that data is important as part of the regional associations. So we're looking for partners who can ensure that data delivery services and activities are aligned with the needs of a substantial stakeholder group. On the budget feasibility, we're basically relying on your expertise to put together the budget and tell us what is relevant to be included, but it has to be feasible. It has to be appropriate and proportional to the scope of this and the scale of the project that will be performed. So we have projects that include some research component in the sense that supports the next generation of ocean data managers or observation technicians and scientists, but we're also looking for projects that they are efficient and they have a feasible budget in the sense that the observations is the priority and becomes, sustainable, hopefully, to the future. And that's the last point, that as part of the one-page budget summary or estimate, you also include some bullets and ideas of a clear strategy for sustaining observations beyond the GCOOS funding. So what other options are and who else might be interested in becoming a partner, whether it's throughout the life of the project or after the life of our project. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It's just an opportunity for all of us to try to develop things that they will be sustaining to the future. So I'll stop here. We're going to publish this presentation, but you will see that you probably saw that it's pretty much what it's in the webpage. And I think that Marcus is going to let me know if anybody has questions already posted in the chat.
Yeah, thanks, Jorge. We have one from Gabrielle Thompson. Just as with the changes in the federal government, will applications with dual use shared with the DoD be prioritized to better establish a secure funding path? I don't know if Gabrielle's still online or not, but maybe you can clarify needed.
I think if I understood the question, that will be fine. We do have a partnership, a really good partnership with the U.S. Navy when it comes to acoustics and gliders operations throughout the Gulf. That's the example that comes to mind, but there is many other opportunities. So I will not see why that will be a deterrent. That's actually something that I'm glad that people is already thinking of those lines.
And the next one from Greg Jacobs. If we have questions regarding the integration of data into the GCOOS system, who is a good contact?
I will encourage everyone to write to the email that we have set up for this process in the webpage. And once I receive that question, if I cannot answer it, I'll pass it to our data managers. So Felimon Gallanilo is one of our co-data managers at GCOOS, and Bob Courier is another data manager at GCOOS. I'll rely on their expertise to help us answer any questions.
Perfect. We had a hand raised a second ago, but it dropped. All right, Mahdi,
yeah.
Mahdi, yeah.
I'm from USM, University of Southern Miss. I have a question. Are you interested in estuaries or no?
We are, man. We're definitely interested in the entire Gulf ecosystem, beginning with the estuaries and the headwaters.
Okay. And the other question is that should we just focus on, say, numericals, or you accept an integration between data collection and numerical models as well?
That is correct. The project can be comprehensive in developing the observations needed to develop a product, and the model could be a product.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have one more come to the chat. How many LOIs proposals can an institution submit, and can a PI serve as a co-PI of another proposal from the same institution?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think we have set up a criteria for that. So we don't have a limit. But my response will be on using common sense to prioritize the ideas that want to be presented, given that we will have limited resources to support proposals. I shared with you the level of the funding levels that we've been working over the past 5 years and what we expect that will happen. So I will definitely prioritize ideas of what you all want the support of GCOOS. And with that, I'm also saying GCOOS being a vehicle for that data to be used by other stakeholders and the federal government. So perhaps that's something that could guide proposals that they are more applied and the balance within research that might be also included.
We have no further questions in the chat. Oh, one more came up. Will you be interested in passive acoustic data recorded at any specific locations in the Gulf? or any locations of interest to GCOOS?
Very good question as well. At GCOOS, we have started by working with passive acoustic data for useful for marine mammal detection. We're thinking about ideas of how relevant will be to develop products about noise, for example. But really, the priority should be set of together with the stakeholder that that particular proposal is going to be submitted with. If the stakeholder has good reasons to start looking for vocalizations and acoustic data from any part of the Gulf, that will be the priority for GCOOS. We're here to serve stakeholder needs, primarily throughout communities, industries, sectorial needs. All of that is important.
All right, we had a flurry come through, so let me read it. As we develop the LOI, who can help us identify and engage with specific stakeholders?
That's a good question. We're happy to provide ideas and in cases make connections with the limited capacity that we have. But we're primarily going to rely on the PI to start looking into the relevance of the project given a community that will be included, or a partnership or an end user that will be included in there. We will have some capacity to do that, but it will not be a responsibility of GCOOS to find that partner. That has to come from the bottom up as part of the partnership between the science and the end user.
Next one is, it looks like our project must span more than one state in order to score the highest. Is this a correct interpretation?
We say as part of the requirements that to provide an indication of coverage throughout the region, that projects should be of regional relevance, but they could also cover 2 or more states. I will get back to the PI to understand the particular observation that will be of interest, including the proposal, and make a justification for that geographic coverage. We could have a project that it's within one state, but there is the outlook that that observation could be also relevant at another regional level as well. We do have, for example, ocean acidification sensors who are very rare, very specialized in measuring, for example, pH and real time. And those sensors, we don't expect that they will be potentially in every estuarine system throughout the Gulf region or every state even. We're thinking that those observations who are really scarce, I mean, they are very valuable for representing the Gulf as well. There might be other examples that they are in the same type of situation. Again, we'll leave it to the proponent to justify the geographic relevance of the observation.
And we have Vishwa with hand raised, if you want to ask your question.
Hey, Jorge, thanks. It was Vishwa from USM. It was me who asked the question about passive acoustic data. So follow-on question on that. Do you have any data pipelines set to take in the acoustic data? We have been sending the environmental data to the GCOOS, but just like that, do you have any other data pipelines to take in the acoustic data?
I'm sorry, is this passive acoustic data?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
We are currently, as of this week and hopefully next week, in conversations with NCI, who has an agreement, collaboration with IOOS to handle passive acoustic data archival. We are about to clarify exactly how that workflow will end and who is going to be the final recipient for acoustic data. So I suggest that you send us an email and we continue that conversation next week as we finalize those ideas with NCI, hopefully.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, we plan to deploy some of the hydrophones at specific locations. So really interested in getting the data to you guys. So thanks.
Good point. Passive acoustic data can be massive. I mean, very
Yes,
large volumes because these are
right.
continuous recordings typically. So it's a unique case that it's new for us at GCOOS. So that's a good question. Let's
Sure.
work on that.
Sure. Thanks.
And I have two more that have come up. One is there a way to be involved in the supply chain for any upcoming projects? Example, we develop buoys, sensors, platforms, and hoses specifically for applications like passive acoustic monitoring, and we're potentially interested in contributing. I think what they're asking is there a way for people to know that they exist and as a possible collaborator?
Very good question. So again, we're happy to make contacts and to connect dots if we have a bit more information to the extent of our capacity. Um, but really will encourage the PI to reach out to other existing partners who might be part of the workflow of a project with a question and a series of stakeholders. If I'm understanding the question correctly. So yes, we can hear about the idea and maybe help to some degree, but it will be the responsibility of the proponent to complete the circle, the full circle of the requirements, which includes to have a stakeholder that is going to be the data user.
And the final question I have is, what is the interest in methodologies such as remote sensing using publicly available satellite data?
We do have currently examples of projects that they are part of our core funding in our current award, in which partners are using public uh, optical sensors, but also oceanographic altimeters, developing products more specifically for SSH and SST, so surface temperature and sea surface height. And all of that is working really well. And those are really good products that we highlight in the GCOOS portal, our newsletter. I mean, we know that people use them. So there's not a problem from using a public source of data and turning it into a product.
No further questions in the chat. So
Any other questions from anybody? I highly encourage you to reach out with ideas. As I said, we can provide guidance to some degree that it's fair for everyone, and also to the extent of our knowledge, as I already mentioned to you, that there's still no funding opportunity being published by IOOS yet to us, but all the regional associations are beginning, like GCOOS, to put together their portfolios in similar ways, in the sense that we're using what we know to proceed. But I'm showing in the screen the next steps, which is the submission of the LOI, the review period, the notification of your project. We're thinking of including your project, and the deadline for completion of the proposal that I already mentioned that will require a full official institutional budget. With, if you've done it before, you know that requires several steps and a good amount of thinking. And then letters of support. We're not requesting letters of support in the initial step of the LOI, so you guys don't have to spend more time with the limited timeline. So we can focus on letters of support for the final packet by November 30th. And then we're gonna be ready at GCOOS to submit a proposal by the end of the year. That's basically the timeline that we're working with. If you have any questions, just send us an email to the account that we set up, or reach out to me. We'll connect you with the GCOOS staff that will help us answer those questions and work with us. Well, thanks to you. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be here the next few weeks. Happy to hear from you. Have a good weekend. Thank you.